Hi there, welcome to Public Art 101. This is session number 1, and we're exploring why public art. Let's start from the beginning. So Public Art 101 is a professional development series that was originally designed to support artists as they learn some of the ins and outs of how to do public art projects. What we've found over time is that this material is also incredibly relevant to community groups and organizers, community associations who may want to plan and initiate their own public art project. Public Art 101 is an introductory overview, kind of a high-level overview of all of the steps that you'll need to undertake in order to develop a public art project. Let's talk a little bit more about Calgary Arts Development, why we're committed to public art and supporting public art and artists in our city. Calgary Arts Development, often known as CADA, has a vision of a creative, connected Calgary through the arts, where everyone is empowered to live a creative life. Our mission is that the arts have the power to create vibrant communities and bring together diverse voices and perspectives. We support artists in the development of their skills and the expression of their creativity. Calgary Arts Development supports and strengthens the arts to benefit all Calgarians. In 2021, the City of Calgary moved their public art program to Calgary Arts Development for implementation. So since 2021, Calgary Arts Development has been responsible for the commissioning of any new artworks, and that includes programming such as youth programs, artist development, and even temporary exhibitions. Calgary Arts Development is also responsible for building public art awareness and activating the public art collection. So within that context, Public Art 101 is part of this artist development series in order to encourage more public art and support for artists and public art within our community. The City of Calgary is responsible for conserving and maintaining the public art collection as a whole, which includes direct acquisitions to the collection, as well as the Indigenous public art program. Calgary Arts Development and the City of Calgary work together daily. There's a team called the Interdepartmental Public Art Team, or IPAT, which identifies opportunities to integrate public art into city projects. So there's always new work coming, and we're finding ways to do that in our city on a daily basis. So that's why we're here. We want to make sure that communities and artists are prepared to contribute and be a part of that public art process. And we do that by providing some information and knowledge that can assist you in that journey. But what even is public art? What we often think of when we say the words public art is large-scale iconic sculptures. However, public art has evolved, and it includes so much more. At its core, public art is working with an artist and a community to realize something in public space. The resulting artwork can be interactive, it can make use of digital technology, it can be temporary, it can be functional like benches, it can be social through social practice programs, and it can even be a living artwork, such as a garden. And honestly, this is why we love what we do. Artists are experts at creating new things, new ways of working, ideas that can be installed in our community to create bits of joy, celebration, and whimsy every single day. But there are standards and ways of working in public art that support that creative process really, really well. And that's what this series is about, is ensuring that you understand those steps and best practices within public art so that you can create your projects with success. Most of us don't understand the process of public art. Maybe we understand a little bit about construction, or maybe you were trained as an artist and you know how to develop your voice and do your craft with ease. But working in the public realm has its own series of rules, regulations, and ways of working that's slightly different, especially when you're incorporating the new ways of working that support an artist. So these public art processes really help guide the process, but still leave room for the creativity and excitement that an artist brings. Public Art 101 was something that we used to offer live, but we wanted to open that up to be available to everybody at all times. So this online series is your opportunity to follow through from beginning to end of all the steps in the process, or you can drop in and do one topic at a time if you want something specific that's going to support your goals. The curriculum that we've developed for you here is based in the process framework. So we start with all of the steps within your public art project that you should look at, and then we delve in each session a little further into each of those steps along the way. Like every single industry, public art has its own series of best practices. It's got ways of working that are specific to this industry. Hopefully, this series also gives you some language and some deeper understanding of the best practices in public art and even why those best practices exist, so that when you're doing your projects, you have some language to work with when you're developing contracts, when you're working with contractors, and when you're looking at the overall course of your project. So that's why we're here, and this is why we're doing this for you. But there's a bigger question we need to look at first. Why do you even want to do public art in the first place?
In order to be an art city, I think those pieces of arts experiences and the ways in which citizens and neighbors and family and friends can experience the arts comes in layers. As someone maybe gets on one of the art buses and maybe didn't even notice what was on the outside of the bus, but then gets inside and starts to read about an artist and about their body of work and why they choose Calgary, and here I am sitting on the bus on my way to work. That's a moment. And then it gets built on when their child comes home and says, "Oh, my class got to go down to the local museum today and we saw this incredible exhibition by these people, and I didn't know that I could be that." Or they told stories that I understood, or I learned about my community in a different way. And then that gets layered on. It's a special time in a local community where celebration happens, and that celebration is combined with food and traditional performance and maybe traditional regalia or dress. And it's right here and it's right in Calgary. And so all these things layer up. And public art is one of the first places, one of the first layers where that starts to kind of get embedded to who we are and how we live. And and I often talk about, creating a city that all of us deserve, not some of us. And public art does that in so many ways. It isn't always about the built structure. It isn't always about um, uh, a statue or a mural, although those are in the realm, they're accessible, they're easy to see. And I think that's really why I'm so keen and excited for Calgary Arts Development to be a part of um, impacting Calgarians through public art, because we get the great honor and privilege of being surrounded by artists who see our communities and our cities through this set of lenses that is extraordinary and that I think connects us. And every time I see people looking at Wonderland in front of the Bow Building, or seeing Jared Sitter's murals and seeing them, right? We talk about, I see me in that art. uh, the the incredible stories we hear from artists who are in community, undertaking their public art projects and talking with people from that place. Those are good things. That's how we will be connected, and that's how we will create a city that all of us deserve, not some of us.
Many cities around the world have decided to invest in public art. They have Percent for Art programs or arm's length organizations like CADA who really help support the process of public art in cities. But why would cities want to invest in public art? What's the importance of that? There's quite a few reasons why public art is important in your city. Here's just a few: professional development, celebration of local artists, placemaking, tourism, investment in the local economy, community building, social commentary, memorials, celebrations, and a little beauty, whimsy, and joy. What do we mean by professional development? Well, that's really why we're here. So, Public Art 101 is that intention of investing in our local artist community, ensuring that they develop the skills that they need in order to achieve success in their industry. That professional development will help these local artists not only get more work within their own community, but then start to branch into a national and international stage where we can take the voices and the artists from Calgary and start to expand to the world.
It's really important in the public art program to have a balance of local talent and international talent represented in our public art collection. Um, people often will say they want to see more local talent, and that is absolutely one of the fundamental goals of the program is to foster local talent and to create a system where artists who are from Calgary can make their life here and can actually make a living wage here. Um, all of that being said, there's still a lot of value in opening up opportunities for international artists because it becomes a sharing of ideas. It opens up our city for other artists to come and work here and bring new ideas here. And it also creates opportunities for our artists from Calgary to travel abroad and bring their skills to other parts of the world. And so it's really important for us to maintain that open door where we have kind of the balance of both local and international talent able to work here. Our local talent is going to be supported through the public art program by creating opportunities for artists to be able to kind of build their practice from the ground up. So this program has opportunities for artists very early in their career, and then provides opportunities for them to have stepping stones to build to more and more complex projects as they continue to foster their skills and grow their practice.
The more public art we create within our own city, the more opportunities we're giving to our own local artists to start to develop their career and get that career success on their own.
Because I think the automatic assumption is when you talk about putting the public back into public art, the assumption is perhaps then artists are somehow not given the same um, uh, authority or agency to, and curators as well, to um, assert their vision, and that maybe that the artistic excellence might slip a little bit. And my goal is for there to be space for both, and not necessarily 50-50 either, right? That it's not 50% public art that's community led, but that there is the acknowledgement that there is room and a need for both. You know, as a taxpayer funded organization, we definitely do need to consider the public. However, we are also affording opportunities for artists, and we do want to see artistic excellence within our public art that helps Calgary shine as a leader in this space. That's definitely our goal.
Placemaking is a really important part of our city. All of us have it. We have these things that we know that create memories, and those are often sense memories or connections to family, heritage, place. I know when I was a kid, my mom always would take me into the core and we would go down and see the sculpture of the two men talking, the conversation, the big bronze sculpture. And when I was with her, I always knew that that was a special day with my mom and that we were near our favorite restaurant and this was our time together. So I have a deep affection for the conversation. A lot of people feel that way about art within their community. At City Hall, you'll often hear the phrase, "I'll meet you by the bears," which are the bear sculptures by the front doors. These connections to place are part of why art in a city is so relevant. It actually creates something that defines a community around it. Because of placemaking and how each of these art projects create that sense of place, tourism is a huge part of the arts industry. People want to come see those unique places within a city and start to understand the context of those pieces within a city.
It's a way of bringing art to that ultimate democratic place of, here we are, you're a part of the society, we're all here, and we're going to show you different voices, we're going to express different things and share in our city here together. It reflects our identity, it reflects who we see, who is missing. That's a big part of it, whose voices are not reflected here. I think it's an important part of creating a sense of place and belonging in a city that people may not even be able to articulate, but somehow it can start to come into their consciousness, even if they're not in the art world. You know, there are iconic pieces that become a story about that city eventually over time, right? And people may love them or hate them, or they might start with hating and move towards, actually it's growing on me. This is part of, that touch point where we talk about what is art, and it can be extremely political, very, very controversial. And that's why I think it's very important in my role to center the public within public art. That is very clear to me that that is a big part of my goal in with working with CADA, especially with our responsibilities to taxpayers.
Both large and small scale public art projects contribute to our local economy by hiring a vast array of people to support a project. So even when the artists themselves might come from out of town, they're hiring local fabricators, they're getting materials from local businesses, they might have mentees and people who work with them to support the project as laborers. All of these things go into the development of a project and also contribute to the economy within a city.
I think what a lot of people don't think about when they think about public art is that investment in public art is investment in our economy. And so people often think that when a public artwork is created that it's just one artist doing everything, and that's not true. There's an entire economy behind the creation of a public artwork. So there are many different facets and trades and professions involved in bringing a piece of art from concept, from the artist's concept into reality. And public art is actually a really big economic driver in our creative economy and in our economy as a whole. So when you think about creating a sculpture in the public space, um, oftentimes what will happen is an artist will come up with the idea, um, but then it takes an entire team of professionals to do the engineering of that, to determine the installation process, to source the materials, and to actually build the artwork in a way where it can be presented in the public realm. So there are a lot of different parts of the economy that are activated every single time an artist does any work.
So remember, we talked about all those people who contribute to a project? That's community building. So every step along the way, and we're going to talk about this a lot as we start to explore each of these steps in the public art process, there are ways to encourage contribution from your community, engage your community, and bring them into the public art process. The more that we draw people into our process and engage them every step of the way, the more ownership and connection they feel to those art projects. That's part of that placemaking, it's part of that community building, but it's part of what brings us together as a city.
Both artists and community like to initiate projects because there is something really special that happens when an artist connects with a community and then collaboratively can develop an initiative that tells the story of that community or connects to an issue or a current event or the current state of what's happening in that community. Um, Art can really be a way to open the door to have a conversation, and it can really be a way to bring people with different perspectives together, um, whether it's to discuss an issue or just to celebrate living or being in a space together in a way that is inclusive. And so I think it's a lot of work to create artwork in the public realm. There's a lot of red tape that comes with it because you have to think about, the safety and the security and, working with materials that are durable and getting site permissions and all of that headache. But at the end of the day, I think the reason people do it is because it is so, the outcome is so special and because you can end up with such a unique experience. It's almost the journey to get there is just as good as the final product.
Some of the ways that we bring people together are through social commentary, ways of looking at our community maybe a little bit more critically so that we can start to identify places where we want improvements with our community. We're going to talk about community engagement as we go along and ways to do that, but a lot of community engagement can be done around a need or an issue in a community, and it's really exciting to see how art can contribute to those conversations.
When I first started, I did a survey of all the artwork in the collection. Less than 3% was by Indigenous artists. Even less than that was represented by the nations that live around Calgary. And so we had 3 works by local nations, and everything else was not by local Indigenous people or from those from the Blackfoot Confederacy. And so one of the first things that we looked at and embedded into that was bringing up that presence of our local Indigenous artists into the collection. That's what I've been working on.
Public art can be a great way to create a memorial or a celebration within your community. So, marking these important passages of time, important anniversaries, important events, creating a physical marker of that people can return to, understand, feel connected to, is one of the ways to bring community together and to create a sense of identity. And truly, we can't discount the importance of beauty, whimsy, and joy. Isn't it wonderful to walk through your streets and get a little gem that surprises you every day? Something that makes you see your environment a little bit differently? All of these things are an important part of existing within a community and a city, and is part of the reason that we invest in public art.
Public art is one of those vehicles for sparking a thought or a reaction, or a laugh, a giggle. It's fun to see certain aspects of public art. Like in Vancouver recently, have you seen the friendship bracelets that have been with the Taylor Swift concert placed around the public art pieces? I mean, that's a beautiful thing to have happen organically, spontaneously like that. There's a reason why that happens, right? It's a place for us to show visually how we're feeling in this moment. It's we were here, we're leaving a trace of ourselves here, and we're adding to what was already here before. Um, that isn't necessarily anything other than we're happy to be here. These are fun. Let's do this. And that's a lovely thing for public art to provide that opportunity of exchange. And then all of us are talking about it, right? The photos are being shared on social, and public art is sort of insidious in the sense that it can be a part of storm drain covers. It can be a part of driving through an underpass. You may not register it, but it's part of what you're taking in as you're going about your daily life. It may be people's only experience of art that whole year.
Just remember, we here at Calgary Arts Development are here for you. Our job is to support you in your journey. We do artist development to benefit all Calgarians. So please, if you have any questions at all, reach out to us at any time at publicart@calgaryartsdevelopment.com. I hope this session has inspired you to understand why you'd want to do public art and to help you understand why we're committing to this Public Art 101 process. As you join me through the rest of the journey, we'll start to look at the steps of that process, delve into them in a little more detail, and hopefully inspire you to start your own project within the community. Our next session coming up, we'll look at that public art process flow, that high-level overview that will provide you with the framework for where we're going next. See you then.